The real success stories told by the people who live them.
We're going to have some guests on this show that everybody knows, and we're going to have guests on this show that nobody knows yet.
One by one, Nick Hyder is adding hits to the hit streak.
Blessings, folks. Welcome back to the Hit Streak podcast. I'm your man, your host, Nick Hyder, and I've got a very, very special episode for you guys today. I've got the coaches of the Nolensville Little League World Series team that just came back from Williamsport, Pennsylvania. Randy Huth and Chris Mercado. Fellas, how we doing today? Thanks for being here.
Man, we're doing awesome. I know we're glad to be back. What an amazing journey, and we appreciate you having us.
Yeah, absolutely. So you guys are almost fresh off the bus. You just got back. Like, how long have you been home now?
About a little less than 2 weeks, I think.
A little less than 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and the journey to get there. So how long was the Little League season that you guys were playing to get there? How long did that last?
it's long. I mean, it's an unbelievable grind. I don't think most people understand that. You start with the regular season, which begins in February. You actually start playing games at the end of March, beginning of April. You play a regular season that goes all the way through May. And then from whatever, we had 5 teams in our regular season. From those 5 teams, you pick 13 kids to be on an all-star team. And all these kids have to live within certain boundaries. So you can't just pick and choose people from all over. They have to live within the boundaries. So you have 13 kids, and then you start the journey of All-Stars, which begins with a district tournament, which for us, we're in District 7, which is very, very, very competitive because we have Goodlettsville and Nolensville are in the same district, and both of us have been to the World Series. Before this year, we've both been twice. So we play one of the toughest leagues in the entire country in our very first game in the district. So that becomes very, very complicated and very super competitive, and the kids get a eye-opening experience to see how crazy it can be and how competitive it can be when you have 500 people watching a Little League game for the first game of the district tournament. Wow. But when you win the district tournament, then you go to the state tournament. From the state tournament, you got to win that. That's all the districts from the state of Tennessee bring whoever won their district to the state tournament, which was in Maryville, Tennessee this year. Then you move to the region, and that's the Southeast Regional, which is held in Warner Robins, Georgia. And when you win that, then you go to Williamsport. So it is a 15-game regular season, and then we ended up playing 16 more games to get all the way to Williamsport. So wow. It is a grind. It's 6 months of a grind.
A 6-month season. So Little League's been around. Is it the oldest sanction in amateur baseball?
It's the largest youth organization in the world.
Largest youth organization in the world, and both of you guys have histories in Little League that go back at least a decade, if not multiple decades, right? So, Chris, let's start with you because this wasn't your first trip to Williamsport, right? So, when was your first year in Williamsport?
Well, we started South Nashville Little League in 2011, and then we went to Williamsport in 2013 and 2014.
Okay.
And then they actually built a school on our park, so we had to move to Nolensville. And then that's when we changed it to Nolensville Little League.
Okay. So this was your third trip?
Third trip.
Third trip to Williamsport. And now, Randy, you've been in Little League for a long time. Not in Middle Tennessee, though. Like you and your dad had a big role in. Which Little League was it that you guys spearheaded for so long?
Dad and I were at St. Bethlehem Little League in Clarksville, Tennessee. But before I talk about that, I just want to say that the amount of coaches that have taken a team to the Little League World Series 3 times, and I asked this question when we were in Williamsport because Chris has actually done it 3 times, and they couldn't tell me more than 3 people that had ever done that. Now, I don't know the exact number because there might be more, but they could only the officials at Little League could only tell me of 3 coaches that they know of that have taken 3 teams to Williamsport. So Chris is actually in that category. So I would say that it puts him in the Hall of Fame of Little League coaches.
So when I need to reintroduce you guys as local celebrities.
Yeah, Hall of Fame Little League coach.
That's right. So, Derek Jeter's going into the Hall of Fame today, right? So in Cooperstown, and so is there like a all Little League team for the history of all that stuff? Like
there's a Little League museum in Williamsport, and there's what's called the Hall of Champions, and that's where they take. I don't exactly know the process to get in it. But it's famous people who have played Little League or done great things with Little League throughout history. Even Joe Biden played Little League. So,
wow.
So you have a lot of things like that. And my goal, I told Chris when we were done, my goal is to make sure that Chris makes it in the Hall of Champions sometime in the future.
Dude, you should. I remember. So let me back up just a little bit. So first of all, I've known both you guys since kids, right?
Correct.
Long history. We've played together. I haven't coached with you yet, but I've coached with you multiple times. Neither one of you guys have had a child on the team that you took to Williamsport, which is absolutely incredible. We're going to talk about that in a little bit because of the amount of, you just said it's 6 months, the amount of commitment that it takes to put into that. And obviously there's some amazing reasons why you guys do those things besides just for the love of the game. And we're going to get into that here in just a little bit. But so Chris, you've been to the Little League World Series 3 times. Obviously, baseball is a big part of your life. So tell the folks a little bit about so you do have kids. Kids. One of them is still very active in he didn't get a Little League season because of COVID. Right. And so tell us a little bit about your family and what you do as far as your role in Middle Tennessee baseball.
Well, I'm here just love of the game. So it's just another way to give back to the community and coach. And this is what I love to do. So coach my kids as well as all these other kids and just show them the game a little bit. We have a great time. That's what I do really well is on the field. Me and Randy made a really good team this year because Randy, we know our roles with the team. When we're on the baseball field, I'm getting after it, and Randy's helping as well. And then off the field, Randy's making sure everything's organized and everything's lined up because there's a lot of paperwork that goes into it, all that kind of stuff. But again, it's just loving the game of baseball and being around this. So my kid, last year was his year for his 12-year-old year, but COVID kind of got to him. So they canceled that season, so he couldn't play. So he was 15 days too late for this team, but he was also around and helped out. He understood and everything like that. So, it was still fun, but it was still hard. So
I know that was something that he wanted to do just from being at a younger age, watching you go, and that was something that was just from talking to him in the past was really important to him. And I know he's working hard to make that happen. And you guys have always put together really competitive teams. You had mentioned how tough the district is. And in the old days, we always heard whoever won between South Nashville Little League and Goodlettsville, that was the one that was at least going to the region. You'd win the state. And basically, then it was maybe 1 or 2 teams tough in the region that you might have to face to get to Williamsport.
Every year since we started, it's 10 years now. It's either us or them. Whoever wins the district goes all the way. So, it's a battle and a good rivalry, But, and you get to know if you're going to be in it. Like if you beat them, you can go really far. If they beat us, it's a short season or a long season. So it's good to know.
So it's cool because you start in a neighborhood. Right. And you start as a team and you have to go all the way to the end together. Right. So, I don't know what the right word is, but the things that people are not so excited about travel baseball with ringers and bringing people in and so on and so forth, that's Little League has stayed true to a roster, which is pretty cool and unique. And you don't get to you can't pay your way into a world championship. You have to earn it, man. And
I think that's what separates Little League from all the other organizations out there, is that it is a community. And we got to see that a lot this year as we started to win, the entire community of Nolensville, Franklin, and Brentwood really got behind us and supported us. We had a parade. You know, how many 12-year-old kids get to have a parade? We had an autograph signing where hundreds of people showed up for us to sign autographs for these kids, you know. So we really, truly got to understand how a community can get behind something. And we gave a lot of joy to people who, you know, in the past year and a half with COVID and the craziness of politics, there hasn't been a whole lot of things to get behind and cheer for. But how can you not cheer and have joy when you see a bunch of 12-year-old boys out there on a baseball field?
That's a hit right there, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Well, you're exactly right. It's the good news is harder to find these days, and especially unifying behind something is like those things are really special these days, and that's and it's a beautiful thing, and it's through the great game of baseball that we're able to do that kind of stuff, right? So, all right, Randy, tell me go a little bit more into your history in Little League, because I know it goes back decades, right? So, and
Yeah.
there was a really touching moment on it that ESPN featured you, and I want to talk about that a little bit too. So, tell me a little bit, as much as you want, as much as you can.
Yeah, I'll try to do it without getting emotional, but my father was part of the Little League game for 43 years. He was the president of Little League in St. Bethlehem Little League, which was in Clarksville, Tennessee. Started there in 1985.
Wow.
Now that league currently has 1,200 kids in that organization. It's the third largest Little League in the entire country. So my dad played a major part in that. He actually built the third field that they have. Now they have 12 fields.
Oh, my.
So, and a couple years ago when he passed away in 2018, they ended up dedicating a field to him. So Huth Field it will be there forever. So that's kind of cool. But so I guess I inherited it. I guess it's in my genetics. So this was my 21st year as a coach. You know, I don't know how many years as a player and then a coach, but this is my 21st year. So it took me 21 years to finally make it to Williamsport.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, it's amazing because this year was the first true season we had since my father passed away. We were in the region in 2018 and we lost to a really good team from Georgia who went on to finish second in the entire World Series. So this was kind of the first go round that my dad wasn't there. So we got to do some cool things. ESPN did a really nice piece on him. We had his hat, which had all those pins from all those years. The All-Stars teams that he coached, that was our good luck charm. Everybody touched it before the game. And I got to spread his ashes on the mound in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, which was a promise that I made to him. And nobody knew about that. That was kind of something that we did without telling anyone. And then ESPN ended up getting word of it, and they featured that, which was neat. So if anybody got to see that game, again, our first game in Williamsport against Ohio, I called timeout after the very first pitch and went out to the mound and spread his ashes on the mound without anyone knowing. Our team knew it, but no one else knew it until then ESPN found out about it, and they featured that in the second game that we had, and they showed the footage of that, which was a pretty unreal experience. I never thought, you know, when I told my dad I would spread his ashes at Williamsport, I thought that I would have to do it as a fan, and I would have to kind of sneak over there and do it, but to do it in the middle of a game on national television on ESPN, what's cooler than that? It's the greatest gift I could ever give to my dad. So
Absolutely. Like, what an unbelievable moment. And again, like, people don't understand how unique and special the outlets that create the opportunities for things just like that actually are.
yeah. You know, and without Little League baseball, I wouldn't have had that bond with my father. It was something that we had, you yourself, your dad in baseball, but we had such a great bond through Little League baseball, and people could see that, I'm sure. And it was really kind of a cool thing to attribute or an honor to him to be able to put him in the mound in Williamsport. He'll be there forever.
Absolutely. Well, man, that's without knowing exactly how it all went down, it was just the way it was presented and everything. It was just absolutely beautiful, man. It was absolutely beautiful. And whether you're a believer or not, I firmly believe he was right there with you, watching and cheering you guys on the whole time. I know your mom was there too, right? She was able to make the trip.
Team, the community actually, they got behind it and paid for her to go.
Oh my gosh, man. This is exactly why we do shows like this right here, is because these are the stories that matter. The games, the wins, the losses, they absolutely matter, but these are the things that at the end of the day will get remembered. You know what I mean? And so if you don't get the trophy, not as much gets remembered throughout time and history, but these are the stories that do, and that's fantastic.
Yeah, I had a little kid come up to me the other day, and he said, they were taught. His father was talking to him and said, "Do you remember when he went out there and put the ashes down?" He said, "What was the first? What did you notice about that moment?" And that little kid said, "I noticed that when he came off the field, the other coach gave him a big hug," and he was talking about Chris.
Yeah,
and that was when I lost it. So
absolutely,
I was a big baby at that. I don't even remember the first inning of that game.
Wow. Well, dude, that's absolutely beautiful. Thank you for. I know that's not easy to share. But it's absolutely special nonetheless.
Yeah, I didn't talk about it out of the hundreds and hundreds of interviews we did. I never once talked about it. You know,
right.
I didn't say anything about it till right now. So,
well, that's for the people that don't know you very well. Like that's one of the things that's so great about your whole family is it's not about you. It's about everybody else. It always has been, and working with you and being friends with you all those years. That was the one thing that the first thing out of your mom and dad's mouth every time I ever saw them was, "How's your family?" The first thing. They actually cared, man. It wasn't a greeting.
That's true. That's true. So hopefully they rubbed off on me a little bit.
Absolutely, they did. Absolutely. All right. Well, let's shift it a little bit. So, obviously, the experience is incredible, and I never went. I've never been. I got questions. I want to know what goes on, and so all we see is what's on television. Right, so
which is cool.
Which is absolutely
that's
amazing.
the fun part.
That's very being on TV is cool too.
But and by the way, you guys looked amazing on television. Let me just go ahead and drop that right there.
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying? You look good. All right. So, what are some experiences, some stories? Especially you've been there multiple times, so certain things happen the same way every single time. From one of the coolest things I thought is you guys won the region in one uniform and played your next game in a different one. Supporting those hats right there, and the kids had all new gear, and there's lodging. As soon as you won the region, there was a bus that people just get on. They're supposed to be packed and ready to go.
Yeah.
Walk us through the journey from. So we know there's district, and then you go to state. So let's take us from state on to the journey there.
Well, state, we had to play. Where did we play? Maryville,
Knoxville.
Knoxville. And you talk about our uniforms. Our uniforms this year, this is the first year we were called Nolensville. So we had a kid on our team, his dad coached at Vanderbilt, Scott Brown. So we thought it'd be pretty cool to kind of go with the Vanderbilt look. And the kids loved it. They loved it. And everybody remembered. We just thought it would just bring a
And I was against it.
Oh, yeah.
I was against it, and Chris talked me into it. I was like, man, come on. We can't be exactly like Vandy because their uniforms are different than, you see a lot of red, white, and blue teams. Mm-hmm. You don't see black on black with gold pinstripes. There's just not any other uniform like it, and I was against it. And Chris convinced me that it was a good idea, and boy, the kids loved it.
Hey, whatever makes them play good, right? So
they loved it.
They loved it. So we did that, and in the state, we won the state, and it was turning heads, the uniforms, and was making them. I don't know. They felt like they were a Vanderbilt player.
They called us the Little Vandy.
Yeah, the Little Vandy
on the news. We were called Little Vandy.
Oh wow!
So we win state, and we go to the region, and
so what you go to state. How much time is there between the state tournament and the region? Is there a long time? Do you just pick up and go?
So in Little League, you only play one game a day because there's pitching rules and everything like that. So it can get strung out pretty far. I think we were there for like a week and a half.
8 days. 8 days in the state tournament. Then we had a 2-week break before you go to the region.
That's brutal.
Because you got to wait for all the other states to finish.
Yeah, that break right there is brutal. You can go from hot to cold overnight.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then we went to Warner Robins, and we played. We were there for 10 days total, and that's when the COVID protocol started.
COVID protocol. So we had to get tested every other day. All the kids had to get tested every other day to make sure you didn't have COVID. It was a little spit test that the kids had to do. So, just winning is hard enough. To have that over your head too, if somebody gets it, somehow, some way, you're out. So
one test, you're out. One positive test, you're done. Your
kid,
team goes home.
Yep. So we're in region in North Carolina. They got it. and they won their first game in the regional, and then they get thrown out because of COVID. So that was a big time worry over everybody's head. So once we left this to go to the regional tournament, we told the parents, and this was the biggest part, the hardest part, that, hey, we can't have you guys around them anymore. And the siblings can't have anybody around them. So, the 3 coaches had to take care of 13 kids from here on out.
No way.
Yes way. So
we adopted 13 boys for the summer. So we had them for nearly a month where they were not allowed to come in contact with anybody except us. So everything was totally segregated. We had our own team pod in the region. We couldn't come in contact with anyone. So we had, there it was in a hotel, but we had our own little portion of the hotel. Testing every other day, masks, sanitizer.
We didn't go anywhere without that.
We never went and ate we never ate out. None of that. Everything was, the boys had to stay with each other. That's it.
Oh my goodness.
So
for
as a 12-year-old kid, how long have they been away from their parents? Maybe a week at most for church camp or something. Maybe go to the grandparents for a week. Well, they just had a month. That they were with us, and they could not come in contact. They could talk to them, they could FaceTime them, they could do that, but they didn't get to touch their parents, get to hug their parents, nothing.
Wow. So not only are they learning how to deal with a taste of fame and public scrutiny or praise or anything that comes along with being basically on the world stage.
Yep.
But they're doing it without their folks, without their parents.
Correct.
Yeah. And there was a lot of little things there. I mean, we had to make sure that they brushed their teeth,
Shower.
Because 12-year-olds are great at all that.
Oh my God. We had to try to keep it clean, the rooms and stuff like that. So, and we had 4 kids, sleeping in a hotel room together, that we had to make sure that they had their snacks and they had all their stuff because, if mama's not right there, it's different for them. So
their medicine, their vitamins, their doing their laundry, whatever food or allergies that they might have, whatever their game ritual is, we had to take over all that.
For the love of the game.
And remember, we're volunteers.
I know.
So we're volunteers, so we're away from our own families, away from our own jobs, with 13 boys, which we wouldn't trade it for the world, but holy moly, we had no idea of the COVID bubble protocols going into it. We didn't know that was going to happen. That happened all of a sudden. That was thrown at us like, guys, you're not allowed to come in contact with anyone. And it was like, all right. So then we win the region. We play 6 straight days in the region. When they put us on a 13-hour bus ride with these boys to Williamsport, and we're there 7 days early before the tournament.
7 days early.
7 days before the World Series starts. We're the first team there. Us, Florida and Louisiana got there way before everybody else. So we started the testing process again in Williamsport, and we have 7 days more of the boys can't go anywhere, can't go to a park, can't go to a restaurant, can't see their parents, can't anything. We're stuck on the campus of the Little League International.
Wow.
So we had to get creative, play little games here and there, and just do everything we could just to pass some time and to make sure that they have a great time. And they did all their stuff.
Chris also had a great idea. We got journals along the way, and made the boys journal about every single night. They had a journal about what happened during the experience so that they'll be able to go back and look at some, and they won't forget some of those little things.
Absolutely. That's a great idea.
That was Chris. I was actually impressed with
But also when we got there, we did have a little bit of time. Like that's when we got to do some ESPN interviews for the kids, and they took some pictures, and then we got all our gear, which that's the biggest thing. That's what the kids love. I mean, brand new uniforms, brand new bats, cleats, all that stuff.
Bags, batting gloves, helmets, warm-ups. They got all that brand new.
They were it was like Christmas. So, I mean, that part is pretty cool that, they earned that.
And it's stuff you get before it even comes out.
Yeah.
Like those bats aren't released to the public yet.
Right.
Those cleats were the new from Tatis junior cleats that had not been even released until this month.
Wow.
So they're the first, and we were the very first team, so they got them actually before anybody else in the world.
That's amazing. That's fantastic. All right, so Well, that's unbelievable. First of all, that you guys there's probably 5 episodes we could talk about just in the week that y'all were there in Williamsport.
Oh gosh, before games even started.
That's right. That's right. Well, so what are some of the other experiences that stand out about the Williamsport experience? So I know there's a I saw on Instagram sliding down the hill. There's the MLB Classic. There's celebrities out the wazoo. I know Tim Corbin was there in the booth during one of y'all's games, and one of our old buddies, Orestes, used to do the walk around the stands and interview folks and everything. So obviously, the stadium wasn't packed this year like it usually is, right? So what was the difference in that the COVID protocols from the public?
Well, that's the only way I know it, because I've never been to Williamsport in any other way. Chris was in there in 2013 or 2014 when there were 30,000 people watching that game. I was there. There were only 500 because each team got 250 tickets, passes each team. So that means there's 500 people at a game.
Wow.
In 2013 and 2014, like you said, it was a lot of crowds. And the kids actually had a lot more stuff to do because they can go sign autographs. And there were so many people around that just wanted these kids' autographs because, hey, they're future stars, right? MLB maybe, So a lot of times those kids, they got to go around, and they had a parade there in 2013, 2014. They had a lot more stuff to do back then than this year. So it, made this year that much harder to even get through that.
Yeah, so from my perspective, it was unbelievable. But I got to watch Chris on TV back then, seeing 30,000 people cheer against Chris when they played Pennsylvania and Monet Davis pitched. So this time you only have 500 people in the stands. It's still loud, it's still fun, it's still crazy, but it's nothing like what you see on TV in a normal Little League year. But there's still the hill, there's still sliding down the hill. There's still the MLB Classic, which has gone on for a few years, and there's still a lot of really cool experiences to be had. But we missed the city of Williamsport, which that city, they look forward to that year round. So we didn't get to visit all the local people and all the local shops and the cool things that go on in the city. We only got to see what was on the campus of Little League International.
We also got to hang out with the Cleveland Indians and stuff and the Angels a little bit because the MLB Classic was there. Now, when I was there earlier, like 2013, 2014, they didn't have that.
Right.
So that was something new for me, and these kids got to do that. And we actually had one of our kids get to interview like 4 or 5 of the Indians right there on ESPN, and they showed it. It was amazing.
Yeah, the MLB Classic's cool. It was the Angels versus the Indians. So we got to see Shohei Ohtani. We got to see Mike Trout, up close and personal. And golly, those guys are monsters. They're huge. You have no idea how big Ohtani is until you're standing next to him. He is a specimen of a man. He looks big on TV.
Yeah.
He is NFL size. I mean, he is huge in person.
I think that was the first thing that blew my mind as a player in my career post college. Was like I got there and it was like I was the smallest guy. Like everybody's massive. Like 6'3" was like the small guys. Like that was your shortstop. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, the greatest thing about that was our entire team. We're in the front row, and the Angels dugout is right in front of us for the game, and all of our boys are screaming different things at Shohei Ohtani. And after the first inning, I looked at the guys. I was like, he doesn't understand a thing that you're saying because he doesn't speak any English. The only thing he understands is that you say his name. He has no clue what you're saying other than that because he has a translator that goes with him everywhere. So I thought that was hilarious.
Absolutely. He just probably grinned at everybody.
He just smiles and waves. And, he has absolutely no idea what you're saying. He probably knows, some phrases, but when you're like, Shohei, you're my favorite baseball player on earth, he just looks and smiles and waves, and you know that he has no idea.
Wow. You mentioned the city and how big of a tradition the series is, and I mean it's the classic for them, right? It's a big deal. It's like Omaha for the NCAA.
75 years,
75 years, and so it's a beautiful town, right?
It's an amazing town. And what you don't see on TV is it's actually cut into the side of a mountain. So there's 2 baseball fields that are literally a mountain comes down and they cut into the mountain to build these fields. So you can't see that on TV, but when you're standing at the bottom of the mountain looking up, you can see it, and it is really cool.
Wow.
Let me tell you something about the weather. The weather, like, so we go in the regional, and we're in Warner Robins, Georgia. It's
110 degrees.
it's so hot.
You're in swampland.
Yeah.
And then you go to Williamsport, and it's just beautiful. Like, I don't know, no humidity. I mean,
72 degrees,
it was
no humidity.
It was beautiful. It was just beautiful. So
Yeah.
It's like baseball heaven.
It truly is baseball heaven. You know, the Field of Dreams game happened right during that whole process. We got to see that, and you know, when Kevin Costner went out there during that thing, and at the beginning of the Field of Dreams game, and he said, "Is this heaven?" And everyone said, "No, it's Iowa." And then he said, "Yes, it is heaven." And that's how I felt walking onto that field, Lamade Stadium in Williamsport. Walking on that field is like, this is as close to heaven as you can get if you're a baseball fan. I mean,
do people understand? So, Chris, you both you guys oversee fields here in Middle Tennessee, and if they're not AstroTurf, you guys have the best surfaces in the state for our age groups, because little fields are usually pretty rough, right?
yes.
Just because of budgets and other things like that alone. But the field looks great on television, right? Is it that good?
It's better.
it's amazing.
I just wanted to lay down and roll around in the grass. It's like carpet. It's cut to a 1/2 inch long of the most beautiful green grass. I mean, the dirt is so soft. There's no hard spots, no holes, no lips, the mound is absolutely perfect. They fix it multiple times during the game, not just after every game. They tamp it and things in the middle of the game if there's a hole.
Wow.
It's unbelievable. Bullpens, you don't ever see bullpens like this.
Right.
Big dugouts at Lamade. Gatorade, water,
Yeah.
anything you could ask for in the dugout. A bathroom. The kids think the bathroom in the dugout's the coolest thing. They all just want to go just because there is a bathroom in the dugout.
Yeah.
I mean, and then you look out and you see that hill and the statues out there in the outfield, and it'll take your breath away.
So I had leaked a couple of the guests that we're going to have on the show on social, and I don't remember who it was, but somebody remembered you for the foo.
Oh gosh,
For the foo.
that was terrible.
So in 2013, the boys decided, hey, we need to do something different. So I cut a Fu Manchu out, and we just started winning. So it just stuck for 2013, and then I brought it back again in 2014, and we won again. So I was like, heck yeah. But then 2015, we lost in the region, so I hung up my Fu. It also got a little gray, so I was like, forget about it.
Well, for luck, it was great. For looks, it was terrible. But I will say that in 2013, when Chris went to the World Series, my dad and I coached at St. Bethlehem Little League. We faced each other in the state tournament, and Chris put us out of that tournament on his way to the World Series.
I'm sorry, Randy.
Thanks. So they actually beat us during that whole process. So we faced each other one time.
I don't know if I knew that. I don't know if I knew that. So,
Well, remember that's 2013. So Chris had not even been to the World Series yet. So it wasn't even a story yet.
That's
So,
right.
This is an afterthought. We actually did face each other,
Okay.
and I got out coached. I admit it. They were better.
I think we're a little bit better.
His 2013 might be the greatest team I've ever seen, most talented wise.
Yeah. Is that how did you guys finish that year? So tell everybody how you finished in your 3 trips. So in 2013.
Oh, don't bring that up.
Oh, God. All right, so 2013, yeah, that team, every first game of every tournament that we played in, we lost for some reason. I don't know.
He's talking about district tournament, state tournament, region tournament, and Williamsport. They lost the first game each.
We lost the first
If you
game.
lose 2, you're out. It's double elimination.
So they just like playing with their back against the wall. because then we would come back and win. Like they would get mad and they would just want to win. So we came all the way back. But like when we got to the World Series, we lost that first game, and then we won 2 games. I think by run rule, and then we lost the 4th game. So we went 2-2 that year. The next year was the Monet Davis year. We played Monet Davis first game, and 30,000 fans are cheering against us.
And you saw her. So they bring her back every year, right?
Oh yeah. So, yeah. So we got to see her this last year, and I go up to her and I was like, "You remember me?" She was like, "Yes."
We saw her at the MLB Classic. We went and got and I took a picture of him with her.
How old is she now?
She's a junior in college at Hampton University. She is a
Softball.
She plays softball. She was a second baseman this past year. The current year she'll be a shortstop though. Eligibility wise, she's a sophomore. Grade wise, she said she's a junior. So she's studying journalism, and she does the kid cast for ESPN for the games, where they do a different cast for kids to watch.
That's awesome. Watching how she handled all the exposure and
she's unreal
and press. Yeah, what an unbelievable young lady.
What not only is she a stud. I mean, she obviously could pitch. She could play.
Yeah.
But she's an incredible human being. I mean, look at how she handled that press. She was on the cover of Sports Illustrated, and she's still doing great. She's so sweet. And she laughed because that game is showed every single year. That game is shown on ESPN as a replay. Mm-hmm. They show it leading up to the World Series every year. And every year I remind Chris of the fact that.
Yeah, I get reminded by all my friends that we lost to the girl. So that's cool.
Well, she's good.
There's no question. The girl can play.
Absolutely.
She's good. But we sure do make fun of him a lot about it. And this year there was a Texas team had a girl on it. Her Ella Bruning, she was a catcher, but she also pitched. And when I met the Texas coach for the first time, I said, "Can we make a deal that if by chance we do have to play each other, you won't throw Ella Bruning against us?" And he's like, "Why?" And I said, "Because we can't go down as the only 2 girl pitchers to pitch in the World Series. We can't lose to both of them. Right? We can't. That can't be our lasting memory. Is to lose to both of them." And he laughed and he said, "Deal. If by chance we play you, we won't throw her."
Do you think that so with Major League Baseball and ESPN and all these huge corporations and media sources behind this thing, do people understand? Like they talk about how the umpires are volunteer and I will say that I know that they prep you guys a lot on like sportsmanship and because these are volunteer umpires, right? And it's great. So obviously they're gauged or measured to have a certain level of like expertise in what they're doing. But like, gosh, some of the stuff that you see on TV, you're like, oh no. And if that was the big leagues, somebody would be getting tossed. Like, so how does that?
For sure. If it was the big leagues, we would have all got tossed. Because, the umpires do the best they can. However.
Well, they're also in a little stressful area because they know all the cameras are on. They're not loosey-goosey like normal when they're just doing a regular game. And they're 100%. But they can see it. They know that, we might do an instant replay on them. And, they get a little bit, it's a little nerve-wracking for them.
There's instant replay.
You get 2 challenges a game.
So are they calling New York? Who are they calling?
Well, when you're in the region, it starts in the region that they have that replay. It goes to Williamsport, and Williamsport has an official that watches the replay. When you're in Williamsport, they're right there. So they have their own set of officials that are in the booth ready to watch.
Okay.
Replay at any time. But, you can't challenge balls and strikes.
Right.
You can't challenge, those kind of judgment calls. You can challenge fair foul. You can challenge out safe. But you cannot challenge balls and strikes. And that's where I would have gotten.
Well, we actually won one. Our kid got hit by a ball.
Hit by a pitch, and the umpire didn't see it. I mean, and he's running to first, and they said, "No, come back." And I was like, my kid just said he got hit. So we challenged it and won it. So that was pretty cool. In my career, I've challenged of the times that I've been to the region, and which is twice into the World Series. I've won only 2 challenges out of the 5 that I've had. So,
All right.
yeah,
So, all the umpires are volunteers.
true.
Yes.
How do you become an umpire? So, I mean, obviously, there's probably, if you're an umpire in amateur baseball, that's probably like a bucket list.
Mm-hmm. And you can only do it one time ever.
Oh,
Except for this year, COVID year, they didn't want to have new umpires, so they brought guys that had been there before back. But historically, if you've gone once, you can't go back. So it is a prestigious thing, and there is a process that you have to go through to qualify, and that starts on the local level. Then you have to be suggested by a state. There's a state umpire and a state administrator. So then you umpire in the state games where they evaluate you. If you do well in those evaluations, you're evaluated by another umpire who has been to the World Series, and then you're recommended to go to the region. And in the region, that's where you're truly evaluated by Williamsport.
gotcha. So what you're saying is there's lobbyists
Yes.
for the umpires.
You have to have basically somebody sign on saying that you are a competent and qualified umpire. And whether they are or not, I have no idea. I will say the umpires do a great job. They're fantastic up there. Don't have a ton of complaints. However, the strike zone was definitely something that.
I mean, they're human and it's tough. I mean, you got these big hook curveballs that they've probably never seen before, that these kids are talented. So, it's different. And you have all sizes at this age group too. I mean, we had, 4 foot nothing, and then we have 6 footers, so.
And it's 46 feet.
And it's 46 feet. So
70 miles an hour, 46 feet is fast.
It's pretty tough to even make, the right call every single time. So I even we tell the players, hey, I mean, the umpire gets 1 strike every single time. So let's not, he's going to get one. You're not going to like it, but he's going to get one. So try to help them get over, that happening. Say, hey, we see this. So, you know what? Get over it. Don't let that ruin your at bat, and come back.
And don't let that be the 3rd strike.
Yes, don't let it be the 3rd
Basically
strike.
what Chris tells the kids, and every year that I've coached with Chris since 2016, he tells them, the umpire is going to make what he's saying when he says they get 1. They're going to make 1 call that you disagree with, at least 1 strike every at bat. Mm-hmm. Don't let it be the 3rd strike.
That's right.
And if you go into that knowing that I'm going to get one that I'm not sure of, or I don't agree with, it takes away the anger when you do get it.
It's an unbelievable life lesson anyways, because that's pretty much how life works, right? Mm-hmm. Nobody's undefeated in life, and life's going to happen with you, and you got goals and things that you want to set out to accomplish, and the winners, the people that are the happiest in life that hit those goals, no matter what life throws at them, they get it done, don't they?
Agreed. I think that all of it, every bit of it translates that hit for you. So I think every bit of, what we coach and what we try to talk about extensively with the kids, I think it all relates back to life.
Mm-hmm. So that's actually a great little segment into the reason that Little League exists, the reason you guys really do it, the reason I believe baseball is the greatest game on the planet, is the life lessons that it teaches you along the way. And whether you get to play on the national stage or not, the life lessons are priceless, and there's unlimited life lessons, right? So, because the best person in the big leagues makes an out 7 out of 10 times, right? Maybe 6 out of 10 if you're Ted Williams, but still you're failing more than you're succeeding.
Yeah, right? Sometimes you win and sometimes you learn.
That's right. That's exactly right.
I think baseball is a perfect example of that.
Just overcoming.
That's right. So, so the kids that get to go to the national stage like that, what are some of the things that they get to take home, life lesson wise, that kids that don't? So, like, if the kids or the parents watching this that are sitting at home thinking, is Little League something that we should chase, right? So what are some of those lessons that you get that you don't get if you don't go to Williamsport?
Well, baseball is one of those things that can tear your heart right out of your chest. We witnessed that in the region. We were up 5-0 in the 6th inning and gave up 6 runs with 2 outs and 2 strikes to lose to Georgia 6-5, and then we had to play every single day and work our way back through the losers bracket. But if you see that, what it teaches you is yes, it could rip our heart out, and yes, it is very disappointing, and it will drive you mad. But you can't have scar tissue. You know, you can't carry that stuff with you. You got to move on to the next. So the kids really learn a sense of perseverance, and so the very next day, all I wanted to do, and Chris was saying, was let's just get back out on the field. Please just let us get that time in between us losing in such a heartbreaking walk-off way to us getting back on the field. That was the longest part of any of the time we had. I wanted that 15 hours or whatever it was before we got to get back out on the field. I just wanted it to go by so fast so that we could get back out there and forget about.
But that game, we didn't do anything wrong. Like, we didn't give that game away by making an error or anything like that. That other team just got tons of hits and just they got hot, and they got, and they hit it where we weren't. And sometimes in baseball, you just got to tip your cap and just move on. And actually, I think that was the best thing for our team to lose that game right then, because we didn't have any more days off. And with the COVID thing, we rather be on the baseball field anyways than sitting in that hotel.
Yeah.
So it was a wake-up call. So that loss was a wake-up call that set the stage for all
right.
those
Did I
future
get
wins.
one?
You got one.
Well, if you rewind, the district tournament, we're facing Goodlettsville in what would have been the championship game if we won. We'd already beat them once, and we were up 5-2 in the sixth inning.
No, not 5-2.
Yes,
They beat us 5-2.
No, we were up 2-1.
2-1.
We were up 2-1 in the sixth inning, and we gave up a walk-off grand slam to lose 5-2.
And we were what? No, 2 outs away from just putting them out.
From being district champs, and now, once again, heart ripped out of our chest on a walk-off. We got to come back the next day. We came back the next day and beat them 2-0 to win the district championship. It happened to us in Warner Robins as well. We had to come back. We had to win 4 more games after that one.
So we put 4 states out.
Yeah, we eliminated 4 states along the way.
Hello.
So when you're in the winner's bracket, you don't really eliminate anybody. When you're in the loser's bracket, every game you play, your back's against the wall, but every team you beat, go home.
They're packing.
They're packing. Or if you lose, you're packing.
Bye.
Exactly. So trust me, along the way, we upset some people.
Yeah.
The West Virginia fans followed me all the way to the bus, ready to fight me. And that's not an exaggeration. Little League had to escort me to the bus because they wanted to fight me.
They didn't want to fight him because it was what the game was, by the way. A quick story on that team.
Bring it.
Quick story on the West Virginia team. So they have a kid that's like 6'2", 175 pounds.
200.
200 pounds. And basically, everybody knew him as, this kid's a stud. And you can just look at him and he hit balls over 300 and everything. So that kid was really good. The rest of his team weren't even close to that. So we decided to not let that one player beat us. So what'd we do? We walked him. Smart. Every time he got up to bat, we intentionally walked him. So we wouldn't. So the other team yelled at us and were so mad that we intentionally walked their best player, and we won the game. So they were very upset about it.
Very upset. Still, to this day, they're still posting things. They sent my mom messages. They created graphics and everything.
You go in with the game plan on how to win that game.
Absolutely.
That's what it was. So we won the game.
Oh yeah.
You remember years ago when they would walk Barry Bonds with the bases loaded?
That actually happened to that kid the game before us that we played West Virginia. North Carolina was up 4-2. Bases loaded. West Virginia's bases loaded. Surf Guerra comes up. His name is Surf Guerra. And they walked him with bases loaded to make it 4-3. Struck out the next guy to win the game.
So they were taking out their frustrations on all the teams.
Yes.
On us.
On you
Yes.
guys.
And people were texting me. You could see them on TV saying they were going to meet me in the parking lot.
Oh my gosh.
It was awesome. It was awesome.
Youth sports, man.
Oh, it was intense.
It can get out of hand pretty quickly.
Yeah. It's never the kids, it's always the parents.
But then you beat a team like Georgia. We put Georgia out, and their entire fan base waited for us to clap for our kids when they came off the field and wish us good luck.
After losing to them in that heartbreak and then beating them in the next one, I mean, that was a great game and a good sportsmanship all the way around. And that's what you want.
Yeah,
right.
The kids got to see the difference in reactions from one team to the next.
Which is great, and you get to see which one do you want to be.
For sure. You get to see exactly, do you want to be this group or do you want to be the other group? And that team from Georgia, as well as the team from Florida, they were so graceful in defeat.
Yeah.
And so nice about it. I actually took the time to write letters to both of those little leagues telling them how well their fans represented, because they only got to see what was on the field.
Right.
From a distance, they didn't get to see what was off the field. And I felt compelled to write a letter because I was so impressed by the way they acted after they lost.
Now, that's a big one. You talk about parents. We had several meetings before this even started, because I knew how everything was on edge. So one parent really can mess it up for the whole group. So if you have several meetings and talk about...
Say that again, because we talk about that in my parent meeting when I'm doing. I'm like, guys, the kids are gonna the experience here is good or bad, and it's not the kid that decides; it's the parents, right? So parents, chill out, man.
Yeah,
chill out.
We had to talk about how we cheer. We had to talk about what's acceptable and what's not acceptable all the way. We cut that off before it happened.
Yeah, who's the coach and who's not?
Right.
Yeah, we're the ones on the field giving all this time, and then when the game starts up, it's not their time to, say what they need to say or what they want to say. So we tell them way in advance. Now they understand, and they trust us. Trust us now. You got to trust us at the end. We're not going to make all the right moves, but you know what? We're in this together. Mm-hmm. And our fans were great. They listened.
Fantastic.
They were a great supporting staff all the way around. We listened to them when they wanted to talk to us off the field at the right time, and we hear them out. Everybody has something to say, and that's fine. But we got through that, and we had a great group of parents. Which all it takes, if you have one bad parent on a team, it can turn your the whole team around, and you can be represented as
that's right,
not the cool team.
Yeah, and this year with COVID and all, we basically had their kids all the time. Mm-hmm. It could have easily went bad if you have some bad parents, but we had awesome parents, awesome community support. So
that's awesome.
We got to see the good side of it.
Yeah,
I think a lot of that has to do with Chris having done this before and gone through this process before. He was very clear in the beginning of, this is how we're going to approach this. This is how we're going to handle these situations. We're not going to be keyboard warriors online. We're not going to bash other teams or start trouble with other teams. We're going to let the coaches coach and let you be parents. And as long as everybody understood that.
Yeah, he just said it right there with the social media.
Yeah.
I mean, you can do it anytime, anywhere, and try to say your opinion, and we cut that off before they can do that too. So
yeah, we value your opinion in private.
Yeah,
that's right.
we don't too much value it in the public eye, which we didn't have that problem. So.
That's awesome. Well, the experience is king, right? In anything, right? So it's you being there a couple times probably held its weight in gold, I would imagine.
I mean, there's nobody better at it than Chris. I'll say that.
Well, you guys definitely had a great staff, and it was just the organization. You could tell how. I mean, honestly, I thought playing your bench is hard the right way, and I thought you guys did, because you guys had an amazing bench. You guys had some really good players coming off the bench.
Sure.
And holy cow, the way they actually talked about that on the national broadcasts about how great of a job you guys did with the strategy of your bench and how to do that, because there's rules you're dealing with.
And the rules in Little League, if you have 13 kids, everybody has to have one at bat.
That's hard in a 6-inning game.
You get a pitcher throwing it. It's really hard.
But like our group of 13 kids all had certain roles here and there. And the best thing about this team, they understood their role. And without all these kids are studs, right? Because they made the all-star team, number one. So if they are on another team, they're used to batting in the 3-hole. All right. All of a sudden you're a sub. Why am I not batting in a 3-hole anymore? It's hard for them to understand. So that was a big part of this team and their attitudes on how we going to win, because we need everybody and we need good attitudes. So that was one of the biggest things is trying to find everybody's role, that to let them know that they're going to get they're going to get the play, they're going to get that at bat, and it's going to be a big at bat. Yeah. So we had a couple kids, they bat their first time and then they came out of the game and they won't hit again, but they would get to play defense. We had kids that were sitting the bench that came in to hit for those kids that hit with power here and there. So we had defensive specialists. We have some guys that can hit. We had a couple guys that can run. Yeah. That we put in just to run. So our card, I would go to the umpire and do the changes, and it would be every inning doing something here or there, and all the kids knew that just to be ready.
Right.
So
that's another life lesson, right? Because all great companies are built of lots of people or a team, and everybody understanding what their role is, and that's managing expectations.
How often does that happen?
It's rare and it's hard, and every company or business that doesn't make it, it's usually internal. They implode from the inside out. And you guys getting ahead of that, the kids learning that now, like Nick Saban and Bill Belichick, do your job. It's everywhere in their locker rooms. That's their whole thing, is just do your job and do it great. And then everybody else, that's what a team does, is everybody doing their jobs, and it comes together to make one great mission or one great job well done, right? So that's a great life lesson.
Our motto from day one was one team, one dream. And we wanted to make sure everybody understood that what one team means.
Yeah.
And of course, having 13 players that are all studs makes our job easier. Yeah. Because you don't have to be like, oh no, we're going to put Nick Hyder in the bat and it's going to be an automatic out. What do we do?
It was not really.
But 12-year-olds, that's hard for them to realize, to understand that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And we also had to talk to the parents as well as, hey, support this with your kid. Because if they go, no, you're the best player, Johnny, you're the best player, it doesn't help.
Hold on. That's a big one, right?
Yeah. Support the coaches and support your kid, but also help them understand that there is a role to play, that they can be there. And there was so many times in so many games that we put that kid in for a big at bat.
Right.
And we asked them to do this or do that. So everybody had their chance to be a superstar. And, there was several of them that took advantage of it.
Even on the big league level, you look at, so everybody there's good, right? And even then you'll look at a 10-game stretch and the lineup's never the same. So it was that Jeff Forehand used to say to us in college, he's got to put the best 9 out there for that game, not the 9 best.
Correct.
Right, the best 9 for that day. That's great. So, all right. So as we bring this thing to a close, what are any other experiences or stories that we didn't get to today that the folks would want to know about, that you guys would want to share? What have we missed anything? Like,
well, you said the hill. The
That's an awesome story, by the way.
Yeah.
All right,
you got it.
So the hill is iconic in Williamsport. You see every year, you see kids sliding down in cardboard boxes. Well, this year we were not allowed to go to the hill because of COVID protocols, because fans are out there. So we were told, no, you can't go. So the day after we lose, our boys still had not been down the hill. We weren't really talking about it, but we knew that everybody wanted to do it. Then it rains, and the game that was going on gets canceled or postponed, and they clear the stadium. There's nobody on the hill. There's nobody in the seats. And Chris says, boys, get your swimsuits on. We're going to the hill. Everybody is super excited. They get on the hill. And I think, what better way to get over a loss than to go slide down the hill? Well, now the hill's wet, so it's even more fun. As we're walking back, we see the Pennsylvania team, and they said, we're right behind you. They come out, and they're ready to go on the hill. Florida team, who we had gotten to know because we faced them in the Southeast region too, they get their swimsuits on. And now we got 3 teams out there having the best time. 2 of us have all 3 of us lost that day. All 3 of those teams had lost, and those kids could have cared less whether they won, lost. It didn't matter. They were having the time of their lives sliding down that hill.
And you didn't need no board.
You didn't need cardboard that day.
You didn't know.
It was even better because it was like supersized down that hill, man. And
so much fun.
We even did our coaches against the Florida coaches race down the hill, and Chris won.
That's awesome.
Of course.
Against the Florida. But they all got to go down the hill. And I think if you ask our kids what they remember most, they're not going to talk about playing on the field. They're not going to talk about wins, losses. They're not going to talk about regional championships. They're going to talk about they got to slide down the hill in Williamsport and they got free gear.
And the food. The food was good.
The food was amazing. So there's another story that nobody really knows that I think is so cool of an experience that we had is we win the region in Warner Robins, Georgia. There was a biker rally in that town the next day, so there were no hotel rooms. We weren't allowed to go back home, so we had nowhere to go. So we had to get on a bus and take it to the first town that had a hotel available. We end up in Forsyth, Georgia.
Where?
I don't know. Ask me where it is on a map. Not the slightest clue. Forsyth, Georgia, because that's the first hotel outside of Warner Robins. It's 45 minutes outside of Warner Robins that had a hotel available because of this huge biker rally. So we're in the middle of nowhere. We have nothing to do, nowhere to practice, no fields, no cars, can't go anywhere. We're just stuck in this town until the next day the bus is going to pick us up at 4 a.m., drive us to Williamsport.
So y'all had to get kids on a bus at 4 a.m. Let me just...
Yes, but we arrived one night. We don't leave until 2 nights later. So we basically have like 28 hours in this town of Forsyth. So during that day, the next day, we don't have anything to do. The kids are bored. There's no field to practice on. We have no vehicles. We got dropped off by a bus. We're waiting on another bus the next morning.
Oh, my word.
So we take the kids we're going to go play wiffle ball. So we walk to this open field where we think that we're going to be able to practice, and we're told we can't. We were just going to play a game, and the people that lived in that home didn't want us there. Down the road, there is a fire station. So Chris takes the boys to the fire station because we have nowhere else to go. And these people don't even know who we are. They have no clue about Little League baseball, don't understand what we've been through. And the chief there moves all the cars out of the way and allows us to have home run derby in the parking lot of a fire department in Forsyth, Georgia.
That's amazing.
Not only that, he let the kids climb all over the truck, hang out on the truck, get pictures, and have a blast that day in the parking lot of the fire department in Forsyth. And I'll always remember that.
Absolutely.
And not only that, after that, remember, we couldn't go anywhere to get any food or anything. The kids all walked back to the hotel. He drove me in the fire truck to Moe's to be able to get food, and then drove me back to the hotel. So I got to ride with the fire chief in the fire truck to Moe's to get burritos or quesadillas for the entire team, and he drove me back. Forsyth, Georgia.
Well, big shout out to the fire department of Forsyth, Georgia.
I'll never forget it. Those guys, they were so kind to us and had no idea. They knew they would never see us again.
Right.
I get a text in the middle of the World Series that said, "Hey, I'm watching you," from the fire chief of Forsyth, Georgia.
That's amazing.
Pretty cool.
That is amazing.
Yeah, it's a story that, we started journaling that night, so that they'll remember that, but no one will. That's not on TV, or that's not.
Absolutely.
A lot of little things that happen behind the scenes.
Well, it shows good people of some town that I don't even know where it is on a map, you know.
Mm-hmm. So, anything else? Any other stories about the experience that the folks need to know before we bring this thing to a close? You guys have been awesome, by the way. This has been a blast.
Thank you. Well, we appreciate you having us. I mean, this whole experience has been unbelievable. But I just, if we had a story to tell, the story would be, for most kids that play Little League baseball or youth sports, they can dream about going to the World Series and playing, but really that dream is more of a fantasy. They'll never have the chance to get there. But when you play in our league with us, it is a reality. I mean, there's a real chance that dream can come true.
Mm-hmm. It's expected, isn't it?
It is.
To go every year.
They want to.
I mean, when your league has been 3 times in a decade, there is a real shot that you can make it.
So if you dream it, it can happen.
It really can happen.
It can happen if you surround yourself with the right people.
That's a fact.
Right? Do the work and put yourself in a position where if you execute, it can happen.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of that's on the parents. Get your kids out there, play Little League, man. It's not all about the best travel ball team. It's not all about Cooperstown where you pay to go.
Right.
This is truly win or go home in your own community.
That's right.
Get your kids out there and play Little League or youth sports.
So, well, heck, man, when are sign-ups for Nolensville Little League?
They start December.
In December?
December, yeah. You can sign up on online, Nolensville. You can go on Facebook, Nolensville Little League.
Yep. Okay. Nolensville Little League on Facebook. Great place to enroll. So how young the age groups? They start at 5, 6?
3.
3. Okay, they start at 3.
Mm-hmm. Non-competitive T-ball is 3.
Right.
Then and then it goes up from there. So
awesome.
So from 6 all the way to 14. I mean 3 all the way to 14.
3 all the way to 14. Outstanding. So, all right. So first of all, at the this podcast is we're filming our first episodes, and I couldn't have thought of anybody. The timing was perfect because of you guys just getting back, and I knew that we'd be able to sit around and tell some stories and entertain the folks, and it would be good. But so Randy, before we go, I want to make sure. So people can't only know you as the Little League guys. I mean, I guess they could, but you guys do some great things outside of that as well.
I guess there's worse things you could be than the Little League guy.
That's absolutely.
I'll take that.
So, well, Randy is. So I got a little bit on my little one shooters here. So, Randy's a former bar owner turned candle maker, who also coached Little League baseball.
You better slow down and say that again.
That's right.
People didn't mishear that.
Former bar owner turned candle maker.
That's a fact.
Right.
I am a candle maker in my real life.
Candle maker in real life. Actually, you do make a lot more than just candles. There's a lot of stuff in my office here that we're sitting in that you literally handcrafted, whether they are candy dishes out of glass or some amazing lamps.
Oh my candy dishes, candles, lights, shot glasses, anything you can think of. I make it out of glass bottles and turn them into really neat things and ship them all over the world.
And that's J3 Bottling Company.
J3 Bottle Company.
J3 Bottle Company, and that's all over social media.
All over social
at J3 Bottle Co.
Mm-hmm.
Right, excellent. Okay, good. So check that out. If they're wanting Christmas orders, you're taking 2023 Christmas orders right now.
Now the good thing is I put my shop on vacation during this whole Little League thing, so I'm pretty caught up. So go ahead and place your orders.
Right on. So you're taking orders now for Christmas, but like I know because we used to be those people that hit you up after Thanksgiving. It's like, hey, we need a favor, and the line's really long.
Yeah, I'll squeeze you in, but yeah, the orders are coming in like crazy.
Orders are coming in like crazy. You can also so somebody was asking me about your personal social Moon Pie Huth. Is some of those things. So I mean that's a simple explanation, but they need to know.
Yeah, well, I was on the radio for a long time,
mm-hmm.
So people think that I love moon pies, but that's really not the case.
But they are awesome.
Yeah, moon pies are awesome, and they are from Tennessee. But you can follow me on my social medias at Moon Pie Huth. Find me on Twitter, Instagram. You got me.
Absolutely. So check out Randy at Moon Pie Huth and at J3 Bottle Co. You definitely want to check out some of the stuff that he's put together on there. And then Chris Mercado. Chris, so you run the Music City Baseball Complex here in Middle Tennessee. You're still coaching your kids and stuff like that, but you host a lot of tournaments and events, whether it be movie nights at the park, some of the best travel tournaments in Middle Tennessee, 12 and under, right? 12 and under. And I know you've got a pretty hectic fall schedule. I think you got a tournament this weekend, do you not?
Yeah, we got a jamboree this weekend to try to kick off the fall. And just really tournaments in the fall and spring and summer, pretty much every other weekend. I mean, every weekend for any travel teams 9 through 12. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
And so there's 2 fields at Music City. They're as nice as they get in town. It's a great experience. I know you take great care of those, and I know your events are probably full already for the fall. But if anybody needed to get squeezed in, how would they sign up? So first of all, Music City Baseball on all the social media, Instagram, Facebook at Music City Baseball. Not to be confused with the major league team they're trying to get here.
Right.
Right. But so if they wanted to come and play in one of your events this fall, how would they do that?
Well, we post all our tournaments on Tourney Machine. It's just an app where you can just look up where any tournaments are in the Middle Tennessee area. So just look up Music City Baseball and you can see what age group we're hosting that weekend and sign right up.
Excellent. So they can sign up. The tournament's going to run basically through Halloween. Mm-hmm. And then they shut down until it's warm enough in February to basically
start
back in March.
And they're only $200 a team.
Yeah.
For some of the best tournaments that you can play in with
Absolutely.
Awesome concessions, grass infields.
Mm-hmm.
His complex is beautiful.
It's amazing. I know I'm actually there with my team tonight, getting some work in. So we're going to be there this evening. It's going to be a good time. And you can check out Chris also his personal at Chris Mercado 6 on the Instagram, and all the other social media stuff. So, guys, thanks again so much for being here today with me. I had an absolute blast. We are here at the Hit Lab in Middle Tennessee, folks. Thanks so much for hanging out with me, your host Nick Hyder, on the Hit Streak podcast. Come back. We got some great guests lined up for you. Come back soon, fellas. Thanks again. Wave bye to everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Hey, we'll see you soon.